Okay, we're live and on the air, starting the show. Welcome to a Monday edition of the Computer America program.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And, well, fighting a cold, Ben. I tell you.
I am what? No. I feel wonderful. The world has never been clearer. It's what are you talking about?
Well, I've been fighting a cold all.
Oh, you've been fighting a cold. Okay, there's the problem.
Yeah. So my voice is not 100%. So
sounds same to me. Nasally, whiny, a little high pitched. Sounds right.
We're having Google Hangouts problems. For some reason, we tried to get our guest on Google Hangouts, and it refused to let him in. It says somebody had prevented him from coming on the show. So we have him on Skype, and hopefully it'll be a good connection. So let's see. Other than Mike having a cold all weekend, anything new to report?
On this end, no, not really.
No, really? Okay. Well, let's bring our guest on the show. And as I said, his name is Mike Riley. He's the author. Remember, he was the author of Build an Awesome PC 2014 edition. We had him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's back again with us, but this time to discuss home automation and his book, Programming Your Home: Automate with Arduino, Android, and Your Computer. I hope I pronounced that right. Mike, welcome back into Computer America. How the heck are you?
Hey, Craig. It's great to hear from you again.
Yeah. Is it Arduino?
Arduino.
Arduino.
That's right.
What is Arduino? I'd never heard of Arduino.
Arduino is a inexpensive microcontroller. It's not quite what you would think of as a computer. You may have also heard something known as a Raspberry Pi. That actually is something that can run like a computer operating system like Linux. Arduino is a little bit more specific. It uses a chip that basically is a very explicit, very specific function of being able to pretty much turn on and off devices, flips on like ones and zeros and that kind of thing, as well as to integrate with analog devices, things like stepper motors and dials and levers.
Well, is it sort of like the old Radio Shack, like the X10? Is it on that level, or is it?
It's almost, if you recall the old X10, which, by the way, I do pay a little bit of homage to that in the book in one of the projects that I build. But if you think about the X10, and if you're familiar with that, there was kind of this control box that came with the X10.
Yeah.
So you can kind of think of the Arduino sort of like that control box, but obviously it controls more than just X10 devices. It can control pretty much anything that you connect to it.
Okay. And, of course, some of the other ones I have heard of. And, what I want to do is just step back and look a little bit at automation. It seems to me that we're getting more and more quote-unquote, home automation devices that's supposed to make our life simpler. And it looks like virtually none of them talk to, if you're not with that particular brand, the other ones are not going to talk to each other.
Yep, that's been a problem since day one. In fact, the reason why X10 became sort of an interesting technology, and it kind of comes and goes with these waves of interest, X10 was one of the first that really got a large amount of penetration in terms of sort of trying to glom on to a standard. And that's kind of the biggest hurdle when it comes to home automation, is just what do you standardize this type of communication protocol to? Nowadays, you've got Google, Apple, Microsoft. they're all vying for different options to try to become that protocol. Most recently, Apple has their new HomeKit SDK as part of their iOS platform, attempt to take the iPads and the iPhones and tie it into these home automation devices that are starting to pop up, like you said, things like the Nest heating and cooling dial device thermostat. And
But that's only one. You have Z-Wave,
Right.
you have Z-Wave, and you got all these different standards. This
Mhm.
is worse than the Betamax and VHS and debacle. I mean, it's just, and you would think we would learn from this idiocy, and we don't. I mean, every time, excuse me, we come up with another one, we have all these different standards again, and it's just aggravating. You would think. I mean, when they had the CD, the DVD, remember that the Blu-ray, and then they had the
yeah.
HD DVD. Finally, HD DVD died out. We have Blu-ray. So it looks like Blu-ray is now the standard, but we keep seeing this happen over. Why don't we learn from the past?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I felt when I wrote my book that it probably helped, just because knowing how long it's taken us to get just to where we are today, we still don't have a standard.
No.
That rather than waiting around for some major breakthrough or some coming together of all these different companies and standards bodies to finally say, here, this is the one we're going to use, I just figured, you know what, I'm tired of waiting, I'm just going to build my own. That's what I did with the book.
Well, exactly. I mean, you mentioned, Apple just came out with theirs, and then if you have, you want to lock and unlock your home, well, there's a whole variety of them that you can pick from.
Comcast, Verizon, a couple of other companies, major security companies.
Yeah, Kwikset, ADT. I mean, they all now. ADT uses, I think, the Z-Wave system from but that was kind of interesting to see that happen. But again, if you go to a different company, your stuff is not compatible. It's just, I think compatibility is holding back the home automation industry.
Yep, I agree.
Everybody,
and so do a lot of other folks too.
Yeah, they come out with this is it. Now, Apple just came out with theirs, but my understanding is Apple is only going to work with the ones that Apple supports. I mean, what's the story with Apple this way? What are they supporting?
Well, right now they're just providing the kind of unified framework so that iOS devices can chat with these home automation products, but it still isn't that sort of unifying approach. It's not like an electric plug that says, okay, you've got 2 prongs or 3 prongs at the ground, it plugs into the wall, it just works. We've got a long way to go before that actually happens in the home automation market.
Do you think that we will ever achieve that, or do you think that we're just doomed to non-conformity and non-standards forever? And it'll never be one thing. It'll always be somebody else coming out with something else, and saying, no, we want to be Luke.
I guess it doesn't help when 10,000 people come out with the one solution.
Right. Well, but there are people who are making those investments and those plays hoping that it's going to turn big. I mean, Google bought Nest for an awful lot of money because they thought that Nest did it right when it came to home automating heating and cooling in the home. And, of course, Nest just recently came out with their fire alarm that also
smoke detector,
yeah. So, Google obviously thinks that there's money to be had here because they wouldn't have spent that kind of money on a company that, right now really had, when they bought them, really had one commercial product in the pipeline.
But it doesn't work with anything else.
No, but it's an elegant product, and I know people who have it.
Each of them, all of them are quote-unquote elegant products. They're beautiful to look at, and none of them work with each other.
Right. And I'm afraid that's going to be the case for at least a couple more years.
You predict it's only going to be 2 years? I'm predicting it's going to be never.
No, I agree. I think what will happen is you'll get certain companies that have certain solutions, very much like an Android versus Apple. Maybe there's a small new upstart company out there that has the answer or some sort of unifying interface. But I think we've been waiting for a long time for that unification to occur. And again, several attempts have been made as interest comes and goes, but you know, I think there's probably, with the Google's investment in Nest and Apple's HomeKit, there's probably going to be one major push coming out in the next 2 to 3 years, and it's going to be that one last attempt to see if can we put these devices online? Can we truly make this Internet of Things connect right into the home?
Well, look at Logitech. They just came out with something called the Logitech Hub.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with that?
Yep.
And that's supposed to be some sort of unifying technology that will work with a lot of these home automations. And now, Logitech has that remote control that allows them to
the Harmony remote.
The Harmony remote, right? And I think what they're doing now, and that was a wonderful thing. I mean, that kudos to Logitech for coming out with something that is going to try to, bridge this gap. And they came out with this Logitech Hub that I believe works with the Harmony system.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And supposedly it will communicate with a wide variety of home automation devices, but not all. You know, it's out of the gate. I think. Well, what's your thoughts about it? This Logitech Hub.
You're absolutely right. It's going to work wonderfully with the Logitech or Logitech certified products, but the moment you step outside the gate, it's going to be a real struggle to see if you can bring those things online. I mean, it would be nice to be able to say, okay, here's a unified system that across the board, it's your security cameras, it's your door locks, it's your curtains, it's your heating and ventilation, it's your lighting, everything that has to do anything with any sort of electrical power going into the home that you can, completely control from an easy-to-use console that can be reached anywhere in the world securely. That's the dream, and I think, again, it's commendable that these companies are making the kind of investments in the expectation that they'll get there one day, but they've got a long road ahead.
Yeah, evidently. It's frustrating,
Oh yeah, especially for us techies who are just, we're waiting for it. We see it. We can, in fact, I built it. It's just, for me, it's kind of a very highly customized one-off. And again, that's why I built the book, or wrote the book, because I figured, well, we can wait for that day to someday occur, but for people who are a little bit more technically inclined and ready to roll up their sleeves and just get it done, the book kind of points the way to do it.
So you think, for sure that home automation is going to eventually wind up in people's homes. Like, it's not just going to be people who, they like the Roomba and it's quirky and, you don't have to vacuum half as much. But home automation is definitely going to be a thing in most people's homes and, in the near future, if not the future.
If not already. Certainly security cams have really taken off. So a lot of folks have security cameras that can be monitored from the web. They can be controlled. They're usually some of the models have the ability to have full 360-degree viewing, zoom.
Yes, but that's true. But they only work with the company that you buy them from.
Correct.
God forbid you buy another home automation and you want to tie it in. No,
Right.
I mean, Netgear makes them. I mean, there's a whole bunch. Logitech makes them. There's a whole variety of them from name brands you might not even hear. And as standalone, they really do nice things. They pivot, vision. They have all these wonderful features. But God forbid you wanted to work with something else, forget it. You have to have two different. And it's just back to that same. So I mean, I don't want to keep hanging on this, but it's true. I mean, I know if anybody in this industry is listening, you really, you need to do something. You cannot be a standalone. Now, granted, if you just want a security system, you can probably go to ADT and they'll equip you out, fix you up with their Plus system or their digital system, and that's fine. But and I guess, and if you want an automated, like the Roomba, Dyson's coming out with one. That's great, but nothing's else is going to tie. Each of these things are going to be standalone tie-in. I want to turn on my lights. Well, now I have to go to my Lutron or my Crestron system that I have in my home, and use that. If I want to raise the shades, that's the Lutron system. I'm going to have the people who have 15 remote controls in front of the. That's basically what you're going to be like. You're going to have all these different apps doing all these different things, with none of them communicating with each other.
That's the reality.
and it's a dark reality, and everybody wants to be the system, and they come out with a system orphaned. That's it. You want to raise your shades? Well, you got to go to Lutron. You want lighting control? Well, you got to go to this, or you want security? Go to this company. So it seems to me.
Heaven forbid you have to go do that things manually. That's not an option. We have to.
Yeah. Well, I think we're doomed to having whatever home automation you have. You're going to have a special app for whatever particular home automation. I don't see any of them ever meeting, because look how long it just took just to get DVDs. But we're talking so many. We're talking lighting and this and that and security. We're talking all these different phases. I don't think there's going to be an answer. And
real quick, you know Ever's a long time, right?
Yeah, but ever is a long time. But I'm thinking knowing the human, we're ever going to get a meeting of the minds, unless the government steps in somewhere, which I don't think that's not going to be a good thing either.
But there are going to be companies that are going to make their best effort. I mean, look what Apple's been able to do over the period of the last 10 years, where you had all these different ways to distribute media within the home. You had the Rokus and the Sling boxes and the DVRs and such. And it wasn't until Apple came out with iTunes on the iPad, on the iPhone, and the Apple TV, with that whole ecosystem, it works beautifully. But the moment you step outside of that walled garden, forget it. You're not going to get AirPlay, for instance, playing off of a Google Android device and vice versa.
No, I think you're right. And my point, again, it's September the 22nd, 2014, and I'm saying it now. I think a year from now, 2 years, I mark my words, none of these things are ever going to talk. We might find some groups, like the Apple, we'll bring in some, but we're never going to have everything talking with everything else. I think that's just the way of the world.
Yep, I agree.
And just like every day, including September 22nd, 2014, I disagree with Craig.
All right, you
throwing that out there.
How do you what do you think is going to happen?
Me?
Yeah. What do you think?
I mean, eventually, Wi-Fi didn't segment and break. I mean, that could have easily just been 1,000 different protocols and stuff like that. And radio, cell phone, what have you. These are all just signals that need to connect to the internet, and apps can be made to control other things that aren't originally made for. You can get these things to talk to each other. It is stupid. It is just technology, people. It is not, any kind of alien technology that we're trying to reverse engineer here. It's a curtain. It is a curtain, and you can get that to work with your ceiling, with your ceiling fan if you want to. It's not going to be ever. It might be 2-3 years when home automation isn't just at the hobbyist level. When they want to market it towards the average consumer, they're going to have to make sure that if, whatever the consumer wants, they're going to be able to get it from them.
Okay, and I'm saying it might as well be alien technology, because that's not going to happen. Your comparison of Wi-Fi was not a fair comparison. First of all, Wi-Fi actually has a governing body to do the protocols. 802.11n, 802.11a, b, c, g, all those. Those were ratified by a single unifying body that was for Wi-Fi. And they came up with those guidelines. And if you go out of those guidelines, guess what? Your Wi-Fi equipment wouldn't work. So Wi-Fi had a central start.
Okay. Bad Wi-Fi example. Otherwise, they're curtains, they're ceiling fans, they're security cameras. They can make apps. They will, and when people start asking for this all in one, an all-in-one system, it's going to be possible.
What about this, Mike? Maybe having some sort of unifying body to oversee this. In other words, say, make all these home automation things work with Wi-Fi, and
well, again, those have been attempted. There was, I think it was GE behind the CBus, that's CEBUS standard, that was probably about 10, maybe 12 years ago, where it was this attempt that all these large manufacturers, including GE, big manufacturer of electrical products, attempting to provide some sort of standard bus, standard communication protocol, so that these devices could finally talk to one another. They got a little bit of traction here and there, but it just, again, fell apart There were so many competing interests trying to pull it in their particular ways. Other reasons just because the technology was taking off. This was, again, back at the days when the internet, TCP/IP, was becoming the predominant protocol, and it was like, why not just communicate over IP as opposed to this proprietary communication protocol?
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's kind of, then there were a couple other reasons too why CBus just didn't catch on. But it's going to be an ongoing conundrum. The thing is that, I think one of the things, and this is sort of something I touch on with the book, where when you have these devices, particularly the ones that are on IP, that are reachable over the internet, one of the big concerns that still has yet to be addressed with a lot of these home automation products that are able to communicate over the internet is the security aspect. Hackers are able to find these vulnerabilities in these products all the time, and yet these things are connected inside your home, within your network. So if there's a vulnerability that's been exploited, it's very easy for a hacker to get inside your network, inside your computers, et cetera, et cetera. And because these products are based on firmware, a lot of these manufacturers will kind of just put a product out there without having any real strategy on how they're going to update it or how they're going to very closely monitor the security perimeter of the product. And what happens if a lot of these companies are startups. What happens if they go away? Well, now you have potentially an unsupported product on your network, which you may enjoy using, but if there's no update to it and a vulnerability has been discovered, your whole network is vulnerable to potential attack.
Yeah. Again, you're not painting a rosy picture. It's getting more and more gloomy. So
a lot of challenges, that's for sure. But
I'm just hearing growing pains.
Well, and that's why big companies like Google, they've obviously got the computing and the intellectual horsepower to be able to take on this problem. But, do they really have the long-term vision and commitment to make it happen? That's a question for all the big players in the market today.
Yeah. But I don't think these questions have any answers. Nothing. Not to the satisfaction of all these many different companies, because they're all going to say, well, okay, well, I want to be the kid on the one. I want to have it. I want to be,
right.
Could you see, Craig, if maybe, what if there were 20 predominant companies that did home automation? Instead of each one trying to talk to each other and do that kind of thing, what if they all became everything? What if you could go to 20 different companies and they could all do your blinds, your camera, your fan, your whatever? What if each of them just kind of spread out so you could go to any 20 of these and you could get everything?
Well, I think that's what the Apples and the Googles of the world are considering, because I really don't see Apple and Google friendly, chumming up to each other and getting to a negotiation table of saying, okay, this is the protocol we're going to totally agree on and be happy with. I think at this point, both of those companies have enough money in the bank to be able to do whatever they want without the other's help. And again, Google's investment in Nest is sort of an indicator of, okay, we're going to, if nobody else can build this thing, then we're going to build it. And same thing with Apple's HomeKit. This is a sort of a guideline or a roadmap or a API set to follow if you want your iPad and your iPhone to talk to home automation devices. So I think both companies are approaching it a little bit differently, but with the same intent in mind, saying, we'll forget everybody else, build it, because we know how to build a platform better than anybody else.
I think that will probably be the solution. It's not that everybody's going to be agreeing with everybody else. I think, Mike, you're correct. I would agree with you. One of these big companies, or two or three of these big companies, whoever they might be, are going to provide, and I think this is what Ben was saying, are going to provide a whole solution. It'll be their solution, but it will be a whole solution. They will have everything that you need to automate your home using their system. You want shades? Yep, we have up and down shades now. We offer that with the proper remotes. You want lighting? We have the interfaces and the modules to work with your lighting now. And you want whatever it is that you're looking for. They're going to be probably the most complete. And there may be some little thing that you want that they might not have, and then you might have to go to a different company for the small stuff. For most of the major things the thermostats, all the different things that you want, your controlled heating, lights, shades, locks for your home, security. One company is going to probably offer all of that, and you're going to have to go to that one company and make your decision at that point. I think that's probably going to be the final solution and the only solution.
I concur.
Yep. So there you go.
Although your terminology, it's still painting a gloomy picture just on terminology, but
Yeah, I don't think we're not going to get everybody agree with each other, Okay. And
if it makes you feel better, and I know this is a news story that we might be going over the next hour, but just it was so oddly relevant to what we're talking about right now. I'm sure that you've heard of Dropcam, and of course we were just talking about Nest. Now they work together. So
yeah. I think you're right. I've seen that just for shows that it's an interesting story, but yeah. But I think that summarizes it all. You're going to find one company that has the most things that you need to do, and you're going to go with that company, and in hopes that they will continue to expand whatever it is.
Yep.
And I think that's the way to go. I think that's will probably be the final solution. I don't think you'll ever get everybody to kumbaya and everybody's kind of working with it. All right. So now that we sort of established that, let's talk a little bit about your well, you talked about what makes a home hackable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you kind of covered that. And we talked about the challenges of widespread commercial home automation system. We kind of covered that too. So let's move on and talk a little bit about your book, Programming Your Home, Automate with Arduino, Android, and Your Computer. I noticed you left out iPhone. Any particular reason in that title?
Well, one of the reasons for that is because with the iPhone, any iOS developer not only has to pay Apple the $99 per year subscription fee to have the privilege to develop for the iPhone, but unlike Android, iPhone developers require a provisioning profile, and that provisioning profile doesn't last for the life of your iPhone. It lasts typically 90 days. Sometimes you could get further extensions, but it makes kind of writing your own iPhone apps a bit of a chore because you have to continually renew that provisioning certificate, unless, of course, you publish to the App Store. And that, of course, then it's more or less available up until the point where Apple releases a new version of the OS, for instance, and it's that particular release of your app is no longer supported. But I also just found that with Android, it's just a more hackable friendly, and both in a good positive term as well as a negative term, because obviously the Android platform is a little more prevalent to sort of malicious malware and things like that. While Google's certainly getting much, much better with application monitoring on the Play Store, unlike the Apple Store, which is heavily curated by Apple, and developers really have to follow quite a few guidelines in order to get an app published to the Apple App Store. The Google Play Store, you basically pay $25 for the privilege. It's a one-time fee, and you're ready to develop. So you can really easily develop apps that are custom built for an Android device, unlike with the iPhone.
But Mike, let me ask you this: you have something that's wireless to your front door of your home.
Mm-hmm.
Which one are you going to want? You want the Android one? You're going to want the iOS one?
Again, I tend to be an Android user myself. Although again, I appreciate what Apple does, and certainly from an end consumer standpoint, Apple has Android beat hands down. It's just a much more elegant, beautiful looking operating system.
And secure.
Exactly, and especially with the fact now with Touch ID, that's a big, huge leap forward. And Apple can do that because they dictate both the hardware and the software. So they know exactly how every one of their products is going to ship, unlike Android, which it's basically like the PC from the old desktop days. It's kind of like it could have this kind of graphics chip, it could have this kind of processor, it could have this kind of body.
And if I have a lock in the front door of my home, I want something that's going to be really secure, and I don't want something that's kind of open source. I want something that's monitored and secure.
Oh, you nervous Nelly! Take a chance, have some fun.
Yeah, not with the front door to my home, no.
Well, as long as you fully trust Apple with your keys, that's
Yeah,
fine.
well, there you go. All right, listen, we're at the bottom of the hour. We're going to have a break, and then this is a lot of fun. We're going to continue on with Mike Riley. He's the author of the Programming Your Home, Automate with Arduino, Android, and Your Computer, one of his latest books. You're listening to the Computer America Show on the Boost Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network, on the Blog Talk Radio Network. We will be right back with more of this right after this. Also, a brand new News Tips Bulletin review from Marty Winston. That's all coming up here on Computer America. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the No hair removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality results, here's our favorite host, Cheryl, for No hair removal.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my No. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. And no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented Thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the No, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card, and you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible No hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-953-5415. 800-953-5415.
Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Dos Vidania, it's Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America, this time the UNU UltraPAC Tour. Now, we're impressed with UNU Electronics and their understanding of the importance of adequate current levels to keep from time-starving users or power-starving gear. Their UltraPAC Tour is one of the nicest high-capacity power pucks we've seen, and quite nice looking. It's a sleek, black, rectangular slab with a footprint just 3x5-inch card and about 3/4 of an inch thick. Its guts boast a 10,000 milliamp hour lithium polymer battery, fed by a 12-volt, 2.5 amp wall wart using parallel charging to fill it faster than most such gear. An LED display shows a 5-segment status bar graph in a battery outline, plus a numerical percent of full readout, plus the time remaining to reach full charge. The business end offers both 1 amp and 2.1 amp charging ports. A little math tells us this can keep feeding those at full throttle for more than 3 hours. It also has a switch-controlled white LED convenience light. Bottom line, the UNU UltraPAC Tour Power Puck has the power, the looks, and the smarts to merit top consideration among totable chargers. This is Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. 34 minutes past the hour. That was Marty Winston with a new News Tip Bulletin Review. And he had another good one.
Yeah, he did.
I don't think he misses often.
What?
But then again, I guess we're so. I mean, can't really tell him he's wrong. But, anyways, First hour here on Monday, we are talking with Mr. Mike Riley about home automation and how Craig is so super sketchy on Android. So, yeah, no, we're, just, I don't know.
Well, let me
Where
ask
we
you.
got to this point?
Well, let's go. We've sort of established where the home automation industry is going to go, and we kind of said, it's going to be, there are going to be a few lofties doing everything, and you have to pick one of those, and that's because they'll never talk to each other. So let's talk about your book, Mike, a little bit. Why don't you tell us some of your favorite home automation projects from your book that you can tell us about?
Well, as you can see, there are several in there, but probably my two favorite are the tweeting bird feeder and the Android door lock. The tweeting bird feeder was kind of an idea that I had with my daughter and my son, who are big bird fans. They've had parakeets since they were little, and we certainly would always like to help our feathered friends during the winter time when seed is hard to come by. So we would put up a feeder, but it would be oftentimes we'd like to know, when are they feeding, as well as when is the seed running low, so that we can always make sure that the feeder is well kept. And I thought, well, Twitter is about tweeting, birds tweet, so how about if we make this feeder tweet when it's running low on seed or when there's a bird? So what we did was we put together using the Zigbee, which is a low-power wireless communication, sort of like Wi-Fi, but a lot lower power. Low, and hook it up to a battery, and I'll basically allow the perch area where the birds land to be have a sensor so that it can recognize when a bird does land. So when the bird lands, it literally sends a signal to the computer, which then sends a tweet to Twitter and says a bird just landed on your feeder. And using a light sensor inside the feeder, when the seed gets low, the sensor will notice that there's light and therefore realize that seed has passed that line where the sensor is and notify through a tweet that it's time to fill the bird feeder.
Now, come on. Is this way too much information about how much I want to know about my bird feeder?
Honestly, that's how I thought Twitter was supposed to be used. That sounds perfect.
Okay, I mean, I can understand if you're in the hobby and you want to do that. I mean, okay, but we have a bird feeder here at our home too, and it just kind of hangs it, and we'll look at it and we'll say, it looks low, we need to fill it up, and we get more bird seed for it. Now, all right. I mean, if you had to categorize things, this is fun and frivolous, but but what about useful stuff? I mean, things that would be. Or is it just that these home automation projects are going to be kind of fun? And I mean, none of them are you can't live without. I mean, like again, as I mentioned, securing your locks in your home, and security. I mean, are these home automation products just to be fun kind of lighthearted things like feeding your bird feeder?
Certainly that is one of the fun items, but the more serious one was the Android door lock, and that essentially is using the Android platform so that you can remotely open a door for an individual, and at the same time when that door is being opened, you'll take a snapshot, a graphic image, and you'll be able to tell who's entering the door. So if there's somebody who's calling you saying, yeah, can you unlock the door in the front? You can say yes, go ahead and send a signal from your phone that'll unlock that door, and then a snapshot will be taken just to verify that that person has entered, and the snapshot sent to your email. So that's what the Android Door Lock project does.
Okay. Now, obviously, that's a more serious thing than the bird feeder. I mean, home automation, we're getting into this Internet of Things, and we talk about that a lot too. Where the refrigerator is going to be connected to the Internet, so when you run low on certain things like milk or something, it'll generate a list, or it will actually call up the grocery store and have your order waiting for you. I mean, you can really take this to the nth degree, can't you?
Sure.
Yeah.
Another project that's kind of been useful, especially for people who, like me, live in some potential floodplain areas is a water leveler, so that if we have, say, a sump pump, you can put what I described in the book, basically a water level that when it hits a certain level will auto send an email saying, you better check to make sure that your backup sump pump is running, because right now your water level in your existing sump is pretty high.
See, that's important. Yeah. Now, could you have it set up so that when it gets that signal, it turns the sump pump on, or is that at that point it's too late and the sump pump isn't working, and that's why it went to that level?
Yeah, pretty much, or to make sure that things are getting a little in the danger zone. So if you don't have a backup, you'd better move your materials out of the basement. Anything that you don't want to get waterlogged.
Yeah, or check it. I mean, if you have like a vacation home that you're not there,
right.
and you have no way of knowing that. Then an alert like that can go off and let you know. And I mean, that's right up there with smoke detectors and things. That if you're not at the home, you need to know about this stuff.
Exactly. Yep.
Maybe I would take it to the next level. I would say, well, not only that, I'd have a video camera in the basement, so I could activate and actually look and see what's going on down there. Is it dry or is there water creeping in? And I need to contact somebody to go over to the home or go back to the home and solve the problem. These are problems that crop up, especially in homes that are unattended. Like vacations homes and that are empty, like for 4, 5, 6 months out of the year.
Right, and that's one of the reasons too why it's fun to build these projects. Not only because it kind of helps to let you learn about things like Arduinos and how they can participate in the home automation realm, but also when you do have those custom ideas that you want to extend these ideas with. So we mentioned hooking up a video camera, and certainly with the knowledge learned through the book, you can do that and basically build your own specific custom need, and that way you don't have to wait around for a company to kind of think about all the different their product being applied.
Okay, so how much effort is required to kind of roll your own home automation solutions?
Well, there definitely takes a little bit of a learning curve. Learning to program the Arduino, if you've never programmed before, it is going to be a bit of a steep learning curve. It's not impossible, it's not insurmountable, but just getting your head wrapped around computer programming for the first time. If you've never done it before, it's a little bit intimidating, but it can be done. Now, folks who have spent even just the basic in either high school or college, or even these days in grade school, so just a basic introduction to programming, the Arduino is actually fairly approachable. In fact, a lot of grade schools now are using both the Arduino and the more sophisticated Raspberry Pi as a platform for learning. So it's not as difficult as you would think, but without question, it's not just plug it in and all of a sudden it magically works. Now, you really do have to put some effort, you have to put some planning, and a little bit of investment too. While the Arduino certainly is sort of the focal point for a lot of these projects, you still need a lot to connect to it. So if you're going to network enable the Arduino, well, that's going to be another $35 for what's known as an Ethernet shield. And if you're going to connect it to motors, then those motors are going to cost money. And how are you going to mount those motors? And how are you going to communicate with the motors? So, while the book certainly provides a lot of springboard activities to get started, it's still going to cost a little bit of money, time, and dedication to do it right.
Yeah, really. Now, do you find that people are willing to put that effort in, or do they just want to go to the store and buy it and have somebody else install it?
From what I've seen with the readers that I've talked to, it seems like the younger readers definitely are ready to just get their hands dirty and go for it. The older folks, I think it's a combination of time and the feeling like, well, okay, just like building a model, for instance. Okay, I could build the model of a car or an airplane or something, but do I really have the time, or do I get the enjoyment out of that, or should I just go and buy a pre-packaged or pre-built model or something of that nature? Same kind of deal, I think, with these home automation projects and any computer tinkering projects in general. The people who have the time are usually the younger folks who don't have the hectic schedules of older folks, and they also are unfettered by past experience. I think I always think about the story of Steve Wozniak when he built the first Apple computer. A lot of engineers from HP and elsewhere were saying, you can't build this controller that way. It can't be done. Or, what you're doing is it's sort of outside of the realm of what typically would be a more traditional engineering approach. And because they're not afraid to think out of the box, or just because they don't know any better, they're able to come up with some great innovations.
Yeah, exactly. There's even the idea of, I'll just hire somebody to do it. Well, that's not good either, because then something goes wrong and that person you hired is for some reason not available, or they moved away,
Right.
Then you're in a real pickle. I mean, then what do you do? I don't know. It doesn't.
Well, I'm waiting for the day when a large home construction company comes in and says, we're building a new home. It's going to be completely automated from top to bottom, and here's the warranty that's built into the home. So for 30 years, this is going to be supported, and it's going to provide upgrades so that it's got the computer foundation. It's like a rack that's mounted in the basement, or some way to constantly refresh the technology so that it's not antiquated the moment that you walk in the home.
Yeah. I don't mean to be skeptical, but I've had some first-hand experience with this. I mean, even with our in our home, we had this state-of-the-art geothermal system, and then the guy who put it in retired, and now the guy who we were talking to is leaving the state, and so I'm going, well, now if anything goes wrong, who do I contact next,
Right.
It just gets to be a problem. And sometimes I wonder, no, maybe you should just stick with the old standard stuff, and then you don't have to worry about things like that. In 10, 15 years, are these companies still going to be around, or is this technology going to still be available?
See, and that's why I use my Nokia 3310, because it's reliable and I know how to work on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Greg, you're on the cutting edge. You're feeling the pains, but someone has to.
Yeah, exactly. So any other advice for people who are looking to get into home automation for the home? Should they start from the beginning? Should they wait till they get a new home and get it pre-wired, or would you recommend to them, no, go ahead and and work with the existing technology with your home and retrofit it? I mean, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think the first thing is to really look seriously and say, what do I really need that needs to be automated that's going to make my life more simpler? Is it just I want to be able to turn on my media center easily? So maybe the Harmony remote is going to solve that problem, where it's just one button and it turns on your television. It sets it to the channel that is your favorite, or it's going to automatically fire up your Xbox One or your PS4 and connect it automatically to the right signal, and then route it through your speakers and things like that. If that makes your life easier, home automation, that's great, and there's a solution out there for you. If it's something like the Nest, where you do like the idea of remote controlling the temperature in your home, if you're going to be away, you have an unpredictable travel schedule where you don't know where you're going to be, or you don't like the fact that you're wasting electricity or natural gas, that might be another approach. I think the way that people get enthusiastic about home automation is when they have a product that really works and it really does change the way that they interact at home.
Yeah.
And so if they can get that sort of seed, that seed of enthusiasm, and then start to think about, well, gee, it was so easy for me to just go ahead and automate my media center. Wouldn't it be great if I could also automatically draw my blinds or my curtains so that it would cut out the sunlight when I'm trying to watch a movie, and then kind of step it up to that level? And then wouldn't it be nice if I could automatically have that pot of coffee waiting for me in the morning when I wake up, and that takes it to another level.
Well, yeah, and that's true. I mean, I have a Keurig that you can set it up so it comes on, at 11 o'clock, whenever it is that we get up, and it's waiting. It doesn't actually make the coffee though; it just has the water hot and ready to go,
But now,
I can't tell.
You're there though.
Yeah.
Craig, I can't tell. Are you for home automation right now, or are you against it? Because like you're like, you know, it's right now it's kind of cluttered and nothing talks to each other, and then in the next breath you're like, well, most of my home is automated anyways. Where are you on this, Craig?
Maybe where I am is maybe I'm disillusioned because I have a fairly modern home, and I've tried automation, and time again, every time we get into automation, we get into trouble. You know, with support or service or finding somebody who can maintain it. That happens to us time and time again, and maybe I'm becoming disillusioned. I don't know.
So maybe a book like Mike's where you do it yourself and, you know, you don't have to rely on anyone, maybe that's something, you know, worth looking into if you're into home automation.
But even, Mike, your book relies on companies who make these products, and if those companies who make those products go away, then what do you do?
But fortunately, the products that I talk about in the book are all open source. So Arduino, the hardware, the software, everything is open. So even if the inventor of Arduino goes away, all the technology is still there for the taking.
Well, listen, if people want to read your book, we already have a link to it. Just go to our show notes page at computeramerica.com. It's right there on the home page. You'll see it says show notes. And you just click on that, and it'll open up our show notes blog. You'll see today's show, which is September the 22nd, and you click on that, and you can read. You'll see the link there, and you can see Mike's. We have the link to Mike Rowley's website, and you can see all of his books that he's written, and they're up there for your reading enjoyment. Any other words of wisdom you might have for our listeners about home automation, Mike?
Yeah, and as we've been talking, it is still early days. It's hard to believe, even though 30 years have passed since the various, X10s and the other type of devices have come out. But we are still definitely in early days. But there is going to be, again, I'm a little bit more optimistic than you, Craig, but I think in about, definitely within the next 5 years, there's going to be something that's just that killer app that says, this is it, I've got to have this, or this is a game changer, and this is what's going to make the difference. So I think something like that, maybe not as world-changing as something like the iPhone, but it's going to be something that people just say, wow, that's really cool, I need to have that to make my life easier, and then it's just going to be commonplace, just like the iPhone.
What can someone expect to spend on a typical home automation project?
Well, in the book, it can range anywhere between, say, $35 to, if you want to build the really more elaborate projects, upwards to $200. So, it's a bit of an investment, but then again, it's still probably cheaper than some of these home automation devices like the Nest or the Harmony.
A Nest or Harmony costs like well over $200 just for the device. So if I go to sometimes it's just the equipment itself is going to be very expensive.
Right.
Getting electric shades that roll down and roll up. Well, there's not too many places you can go. I mean, go to Lutron. Those things are expensive.
Yep.
So, is there any way to judge that? I guess it depends on the particular project at that moment, I would think.
Right, and then some of it's trial and error, and whenever you're working with your own electronic, always going to be that one moment where you either hook up the circuit incorrectly and you fry a board, or you overspec or underspec a particular motor where it either burns out or rips off the shears off some of the curtain, or some other goofy outcome is going to happen. But that's what makes it a great learning experience too.
Wow, I don't know if I'd call it a learning experience. I mean, an experience in frustration. I would think so. I mean, are most of the home automation projects like that? I mean, are they going to?
No, unfortunately, while we could have made kind of more sophisticated projects, one of the things I definitely wanted to keep in mind with the book was to make it almost impossible to do any kind of harm. I mean, we certainly still have our disclosures in the book, because anytime you work with any kind of electricity, there's always potential. But it's extremely remote for anything like that to happen. And you're working with such low voltages with the Arduino that it's highly unlikely that you're going to damage anything.
Yeah, except your pride.
Well, that.
Exactly. Look what I made. Well, it's not working now. I'm gonna have to come back and do it again. Well, again, as I said, the book is available from Mike Riley. How much is the book these days? The home automation book.
These days, actually, it ranges in different prices. Obviously, you can go to get the book on Amazon. You can buy it straight from the Fragment bookshelf. The ebook version is less expensive than the print version. And honestly, I have to bring up the page because I know that the prices have changed. And there's also sometimes where there's going to be sales, things like, well, I know it's a while yet, but usually that day after Thanksgiving in the States, there's usually nice sales on the book as well.
Okay, well, that's good to keep in mind. Well, Mike, I want to thank you for being with us here on tonight's show. It's always a pleasure having you here, and you need to write some. So
you got it, Craig. And thanks again. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed this. It's such a great time talking with you.
Yeah, and my only just wonder is that we couldn't get you on Hangouts. There was some technical glitch. We got to figure.
I hope I didn't do anything to upset Google, and that's why they're filtering me out.
No, because I did it when you came in, and I couldn't get into the Hangouts. So there's something is really wrong. So we're gonna have to figure out what it is. And next time we'll have it worked out. But Mike, thanks so much for being with us here tonight on Computer America, and again, you check it out go to our show notes page at computeramerica.com, and you can check all the books that Mike has written. Mike, thanks for being with us here tonight.
Thanks so much, Craig. Take care.
All right, have a good one. Good night.
Yes.
Good night.
All right, so there you go. All right, Mike Riley. Again, we're talking about home automation. You can read his book that talks about all of that and see it for yourself. So what are we going to do now? I guess what we're going to do is we're going to do computer news. But before we get to that, let me just mention, and I really didn't mention the phone numbers to call. If you have a comment or question, well, our guest just left, but 347-884-8881 will get you on and get you through. We'll extend it into the next hour if you have a comment or a question about what we're talking about, home automation. You can also send us email to live, L-I-V-E, at computeramerica.com. You can also join us in our live interactive IRC chat room from our homepage at computeramerica.com. Just click the live video and chat button that's right there on the homepage, and you'll see on the left-hand side of that page the live IRC chat room. It's going to ask you for a nickname. That's the name you'll be known by when you go in there. They'll have a CAPTCHA number or a couple of words that you have to type in to make sure that it's just making sure that you are a live person and not a bot, and click the connect button, and your browser will move you into the Computer America chat room. Mike Riley's still in there, by the way, if you want to have a chance to talk with him. We also have a button there that's click for IRC clients, so you can load things like Chatzilla or HexChat. It just formats the chat room more nicely, so we just make that available to you. And then sharing that same page is our live Computer America video streaming page, and that's brought to you by Other World Computing. Quality products, expert support since 1988. They're now celebrating their 25th anniversary. If you have any products for your computer that you're looking for your Mac, for your PC, for your Xbox One, for your PlayStation 4, accessories, memory, batteries for your computer, for your legacy products that you can't find, if they have it over there at www.macsales, macsales.com. Any order that you place with them over $49, you get free ground shipping, and that means like about 80% of the country you'll get your product from them in 2 days. So it's really a great deal. www.macsales for all your computing needs. Check them out. Great products. You'll be happy that you went there, and tell them that we sent you. www.macsales.com. Okay, Ben, I think we're going to do some computer news and technology news. Just make sure to let you know again one more time that our Computer America contest is up in full swing. Just go to the Interact pull-down menu, and you can see all of our contests. We have our Logitech contest with a brand new grand prize. It's that beautiful Bluetooth speaker from Logitech. You can see that there. We also have the camera, the high-definition video camera is our third place prize, valued at $50. That's their Logitech HD webcam C310. The second prize is the G400S optical gaming mousepad at $60. And again, the Logitech X300 mobile wireless stereo speaker. That's brand new. That's a brand new grand prize at ComputerAmerica.com. You can click on any of the pictures. It'll take you to the product pages so you can see all the details. The Bluetooth speaker, if you win, it comes in 4 colors, and guess what? You can pick the color that you want. So how cool is that? You get the prize, and you can get to pick the color that it comes in. All of our contests are free. They're no obligation. They're completely private. We give your information out to no one. So enter in all of our contests at ComputerAmerica.com, and you might win something really, really nice. Coming up next, computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. Also, another news tips bulletin review from Marty Winston. I wonder how he's going to say hello in this next one. You listen to Computer America. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk,
Since it appears you're calling back into a live show, we are
nationwide
reconnecting you
at
now.
ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@ComputerAmerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we just had Mike Riley on the first hour of the show, and talking about home automation. If you missed any portion of that, you certainly can listen to it again. We archive all of our shows. Blog Talk Radio, and you can listen to all of them. They're up there for your downloading pleasure. Also, let's see what else. Of course, you can listen to the show live, not only Blog Talk Radio, but on the Boost Radio Network and the IRN Radio Network. All the places that you can listen to the show are right there on our homepage at ComputerAmerica.com. We make it really simple for you to access all of those. So just head over to ComputerAmerica.com and for all information about the Computer America Show. I also didn't mention our show reminder newsletter. That's one of the contest prizes that we give. You sign up for our newsletter. It's completely free, no obligation, and every Friday you get from that list of names of all our subscribers. We draw a winning name every Friday to win another really nice prize from Logitech. It's all at ComputerAmerica.com. All the things that we do are at the website. Okay, so here we are in Hour 2. Ben, we've got a whole bunch of interesting stories to talk about. A nice wide variety, a selection of them. And I'm using Chrome, like we did for before. So in case of getting the audio, we should be able to hear it. All of them seem to be audio free. So anything else you want to mention before we do our news?
No, actually, no. I always feel like I should have something to say, something new, something interesting. I don't. So.
Okay. Well, we didn't do a news story. Evidently, some judge came on and said that if you're on Facebook, you can be served.
I heard about this too, and I believe from the same source you did, and I have yet to check into this. So.
Yeah. Because, when you close your Facebook account, it really opens up a can of worms. So, you need to check into it more and see if you can find anything, because I couldn't find anything about it either.
I just got this, that in UK, they allowed this. This particular article that I'm reading is about 2 years old, and it's from the UK, and the UK court summons can now be served via Facebook.
But only in the UK.
Only in the UK. I have not checked lately how effective UK laws are in the US, but before they were not applicable at all because this is not the UK.
No, they're not.
So I have not checked on that lately, but I believe the UK laws do not the US.
Oh, we'll check into it. Let's get started with our news, and we'll go from there. All right?
Okay.
Tonight's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system for free. That's right, you heard me. Everything at slimwareutilities.com, completely free. No, they're not freemium. You know, they're not crippled in any way, and then you have to pay them, you know, to update. No. All of their products there at slimwareutilities.com, completely free. Download all of them. Put them in your computer's toolbox. You will love using them. When you need them, you'll be very happy that you did do that because you'll have them when you need them. Okay? We use them here at the Crossman household. Slimwareutilities.com. They will truly clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system and do it extremely well. Download them all. You'll be happy that you did, and you'll thank us for it. Slimwareutilities.com. So, in our first story of the week, according to Maximum PC, Valve releases Steam Discovery Update. Steam Store gets revamped. Over 100 million active Steam accounts. Now, while Steam is the largest digital distribution platform for video games, its store homepage presentation and search function has been in need of renovation for quite some time. And while it has finally received, one, Valve has launched the Steam Discovery Update that has improved the Steam Store's appearance, made it easier to search for games, and adds a new curator feature. We have made great efforts to increase the number of titles we can publish on Steam, which means more choices for more customers. Okay? Steam, which has over 100 million active accounts now, has become a bit of a chore to navigate when looking for new PC games to purchase. But with the Steam Discovery Update, it has that is no longer the case. There are new filters that make browsing through Steam's catalog of 3,700 titles, 1,300 of which have been added over the last 9 months, according to Valve, much easier to do. For example, users are now able to filter out games they already own, early access releases, and non-gaming software from the search results. That's kind of cool. Consumers will also have access to customization options that will show the products they would be interested in purchasing. In addition, users will receive recommendations based on their recent gameplay, past purchases, suggestions from friends, and recommendations from curators. See, Steam curators are the new tastemakers, as Valve puts it, of the Steam community. Curators is another form of Steam community group capable of making recommendations that will show up on a follower's homepage. To become a curator, you will need to create your own Steam community group or to be an office moderator of one. Then make at least 10 recommendations on Steam in order to shop up on to other users that are searching for curators to follow. So there you go.
So curators are actually like following someone on like a blog or something.
Yeah, I guess. I would think so. Yeah.
So Steam's updating, which you know, may not affect you or to a lesser extent me, but I mean 100 million people. That's and it's a big revamping of their platform, which honestly I thought it was pretty good before, but it was starting to show its age. So apparently nowadays it's better to go with the picture/video heavy Explorer rather than the larger text-based.
Okay.
So yay Steam. This next story, this one from Engadget, and this is one for all of you science fiction people out there. And science fiction in the fact that this may actually become a reality, just not in Craig's near future, more like my distant future. By 2050, Japanese company plans to have a working space elevator.
No way.
Oh yeah, by 2050. That's not too far off. That's only another 36 years. So, who doesn't want to go to space? No less in an elevator. Well, NASA's been working hard for years trying to find the necessary tools to do just that. Other firms are doing the same across different parts of the world. Japanese construction company Obayashi, here we go. For instance, is one of those, and today it revealed its plans to have a fully functional space elevator by the year 2050. As Australian Broadcasting Corporation reports, Obayashi says it is working to build a space elevator that can reach 96,000 kilometers, roughly 60,000 miles, into space, capable of transporting people and cargo at a much lower cost than the rockets traditionally launched from Earth. The trip on the space elevator is said to take a total of 7 days one way, with the destination being a space station that would be built specifically for this scenario. Yeah, science fiction. Sounds like it, but it's they're planning on it. So Obayashi knows the road to build a space elevator won't be easy, particularly because some of the materials required aren't available in this day and age. That's a problem.
Yeah.
That said, the Japan-based outfit believes that the things like currently developed carbon nanotechnology will be of huge help in turning the project into reality. According to the research and development manager, the tensile strength is almost 100 times stronger than steel cable, so it's possible. Right now, we can't make the cable long enough. We can only make 3 centimeter long nanotubes, but we need much more. We think by 2030 we'll be able to do it. So the concept isn't really out of this world, pun intended. It's just that the technology isn't there yet.
Well, you know, there are so many other things with a space elevator. It's not like you don't have to. My understanding is you don't have to achieve escape velocity like a rocket in order to get out, and all these things, because basically it's just supposedly a cable, pulling you up.
Yeah.
But there are other, I guess, technological issues.
See, and I wouldn't even think it would be a cable pulling you up. I think it'd be like a cable car system where, the cable would guide you and you'd actually travel along the cable, but, all the propulsion would probably come from the vehicle itself. So, so you don't have to, rely on that one cable that's pulling you up and then, somewhere 33,000 miles below you, the cable snaps and then, you're kind of, It's just, the propulsion would come from the cable car itself. And it says it would take a week, but I mean, build this thing large enough and, I wouldn't say spacious enough, but, well enough that you could survive 7 days without going insane. And it would be a much, much cheaper way to get people, into space, cargo into space, because, I mean, one of the most expensive things to send into space right now is something as simple as water. I mean, it's it's extremely heavy, by volume, and yet we need it. So, the cost prohibitiveness, it would go away with something like a space elevator, which up until now has been science fiction.
I'll believe it when I see it. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it, even with the technology. I don't know.
You're Craig. You're in a rut. I can tell. I believe our listeners can tell. You're using terms like never and ever and won't and can't. These are not words that should be in anyone who follows technology. These words should not be in their vocabulary. It should be not yet, not possible yet. It's these things are always possible thanks to the wondrous world of technology that we follow. It's just, can it be done with what we have now? No. And they say by 2030, carbon nanotubes, which we've heard a lot about, they should be getting there. They just need to get bigger. They need to get lighter and that kind of thing. So it's possible. And Craig says he'll believe it when he sees it. Well, stick around until 2050, and you might just see it.
Can't think of a regular, ordinary elevator that you take. I mean, they have some of these elevators that go these super high-rise buildings. That was a task unto itself. But I think it's not going to be a cable that wraps around, a cylinder that it wraps up. I think it's going to be a continuous loop cable that will be powered by motors and that will raise and the cabin to which is going to be. And also, if it's 7 days, it's going to be more than an elevator. It's going to be something, where you have a little bed where you can rest. It's obviously.
I would consider it like a long train ride.
Yeah, well, you're going to have a sleeper compartments or something. You're going to have to. It's just not going to be a little box that you ride up and down. It's going to be very much more complex.
No, they're gonna stand everyone up, and you just stand in there, and you press either space or earth. There's 2 buttons, and you stand there listening to that music. Da 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 da. Yeah, and you sit there for 7 days listening to that music before you get to space. That's how they weed out the weak ones.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to have restroom facilities. You're going to have food. I mean, it's going to be quite involved. I'll be interested to see if if.
Well, I mean, if it wasn't quite involved, I'm sure they would have put a deadline that was 10 years out from now, where it's just getting things built and funding found and things like that. But no, they have to wait for new technology to be invented, like what they have. What they need, they don't have now. So they, of course, a lot can change in 36 years. Okay, what happened 36 years ago? I think, the very first console gaming stations were coming out. Computer games were not even a thing in 77.
Okay.
So technology has brought us far, and it will bring us further, and one day even to space stations listening to awful music while you wait in your elevator.
There you go. Now,
and of course, there will still be that kid that hits every button and then gets off.
that kid, you'd probably kill him.
Probably.
From 7 days to 14 days. Yeah, I don't think
it stops every 3 miles. It's just
exactly. Exactly. Now you know about Square, right? They were one of the first people to come out with this little thing you plug into an iPhone and you get the credit card payments.
They had a rather broad advertising campaign where you plug it into your iPhone and Android, pay with it that way.
Yeah, and it's come up in merchants. I've seen them in doctors' offices. I mean, seen them on street vendors. Where it's not practical if they want to have some sort of foolproof way of taking a payment. Well, Square was one of the first to innovate that. Well, evidently, Square is in the news again. They're making a register that takes Bitcoin and Apple Pay. Both. So over the past year, it's become a lot easier to buy Bitcoin. Okay. This is from Wired Magazine, so it's a reputable source. Thanks to services such as Coinbase, and thanks to retailers such as Overstock.com and Tiger Direct, it's now a lot easier to spend them online. But there's still one big pothole in Bitcoin's bumpy road: your local coffee shop. That's because most cash register software still doesn't support the world's most popular digital currency. But the situation is about to change, according to Square. The CEO of the company says that Square is building a register that will allow companies to accept Bitcoin as well as Apple's new contactless payment system, Apple Pay. Okay? And he says, we're building a register so that sellers can accept a credit card, so they can accept cash, so they can accept a check, accept Bitcoin, and so they can accept any form of payment that comes across the counter, including future ones and burgeoning ones like Apple Pay. He told this to CBS this week. Reached today, the company didn't have any word on when its Bitcoin-ready register might be on the market, but it said that it wants to support new types of payment systems. Square sellers should never have to miss out on a sale. They should be able to accept any form of payment. Okay, this again according to a Square spokesperson. Today, shops such as Buyer's Best Friend in San Francisco and restaurants such as the Pink Cow in Tokyo accept payments in Bitcoin. Basically, you hold your smartphone up to the scanner at a cash register, but such systems can be difficult for businesses to set up. Square, whose in-person payment systems are already used by so many businesses, could potentially make it much easier for small stores and restaurants to accept Bitcoin, a new kind of currency that exists only on the internet. Though many believe Bitcoin can remake the way we handle money, removing some of the control traditional exhibited by big banks and government organizations, it's still a long way from reaching the mainstream. But with companies such as Overstock now accepting Bitcoin payments across the globe and Square flirting with a Bitcoin register, the currency is inching closer. So there you go. It's on its way. Yep.
It's it's that new technology meeting. You want to pay for things, and I got to give people credit. They're embracing debit, credit card, scanning technology. Like there was I was at class on Thursday, and there was a gentleman set up. They have like a big breezeway at my college, and he was making Belgian waffles like right there, like in the breezeway. And people walk by, they smell it, and then they go over and they buy one for $3. And even the guy making Belgian waffles and his wife selling, milkshakes right next to him, they had a debit card scanner. Just like a little handheld. It was not square, but I mean, even the guy selling the waffles has ways to, scan your debit card to use money. So, it's definitely becoming more popular, more common.
Yeah, exactly.
Luckily, cash is getting phased out, which I personally like.
I don't think cash will ever get phased out, but it certainly will be supplemented by some of these other products.
I mean, if you can get either or, then I'll be in the camp of, I will always pretty much use the debit card.
Okay.
Rather than cash.
Well, yeah, all right.
So and luckily it's swinging in my favor. So there's that.
All right.
All right. So next story. This one, technology, kinda. Science, very much so. This one, near and dear to my heart, kinda, sorta. I like the guy. His name was George. He unfortunately died on June 2012. You may have heard of him too, Craig, I believe. His name was Lonesome George.
No.
He was the last Galapagos tortoise.
Oh, okay.
And in June 2012, poor George passed away, and he may have been the last of his entire subspecies of the Galapagos tortoise.
How old was he?
They found him in 1971. And they never really got a good age on him because they weren't there when he was born. But I think they estimated him over 100.
Yeah, I don't know why they couldn't carbon date him.
Because that's not really for like 100 years. It's like 10,000 years.
Okay, all right.
Carbon dating doesn't work that way. Okay, anyways, so so again, June 2012, he died, and Lonesome George, this, again, the article from Popular Science, Lonesome George was a tortoise, the most famous one ever, in fact. Decades after the last giant tortoise was thought to have disappeared from the island of Pinta in the Galapagos, Lonesome George turned up in 1971 and became a conservation icon. Scientists spent years trying to get him to mate, to pass on his genes, but the efforts failed. When he died, his entire subspecies may have died with him. So, quote, I knew we needed to do something right away to preserve Lonesome George's body, says Sterling. Luckily, as a conservation scientist at the American Museum of Natural History, she knew to call another George, specifically George Dante, a taxidermist for a company called Wildlife Preservations. By the way, great name if you do taxidermy for, American Museum of Natural History, and your company name is Wildlife Preservations. Perfect. So, who has worked with the museum before? He sent Sterling a list of instructions on how to prevent the tortoise body from decomposing so that it could be taxidermied. Go on and so forth. They did a lot of finagling, including going to your local hardware store and buying tools and equipment like that to get him there. And, once they finally got him to the, to the workshop, they got him all spiffy. They, did whatever taxidermists do. I'm sure it's very gruesome, and I don't really feel like getting into that. But, it all ends with the question: why go to all this trouble to taxidermy a tortoise? And it's because, says Dante, George was loved by too many people for his body to end up in a landfill, and there's a chance that his preserved state could still have scientific value. For instance, scientists could extract DNA from his skin or use the model to understand how he lived and moved. And the education value is obvious.
Yeah.
Quote, somewhere else there might have been a decision made to put him in alcohol to make a wet specimen that would be in a museum collection, never to be seen again. But now we have this monument for conservation that visitors can look at and make a connection with. By the way, Lonesome George is on display at the American Natural History Museum, the American Museum of Natural History in New York until January, when he'll be returned to Ecuador.
They couldn't get him to mate. That was terrible.
Nope.
Did they try play tortoise, or something like that? That didn't have something
They tried to get him to koi tortoise. I don't know.
Playboy, play tortoise. Yeah.
It was reaching. I didn't get it at first, but you tried, Craig, and that's all that matters. But no, this was actually kind of going on for a while, and there were a lot of stories following him in his last decade of life, and for him to be preserved like this, Craig, I'm not sure if you're looking at the article, but they actually have a picture of Lonesome George.
Yeah.
In all of his taxidermy glory.
Yeah.
And he is majestic.
Yes, very impressive.
For a tortoise.
Yes. For a tortoise, absolutely.
Yeah.
Held up high. Yeah, exactly. Well, at least he'll be remembered.
And stuffed for future viewing.
Yes, exactly. Okay. This next article is from Wired. There's a camera from Leica. The Leica M Edition 60. It's created to commemorate the 60th anniversary of the company's M series rangefinders. Has pretty much everything you expect in a camera that costs $19,000. And it has no screen.
See, no, look, when you're paying $19,000, you have to do away with the frivolous stuff and just get to the bare minimum.
Well, okay, a 24 megapixel full frame sensor, okay, check. A 35 millimeter f1.4 lens kit, check. A limited run of 600 units so you can feel more special when you buy one, check. A big, sharp LCD viewfinder, nope. This crazy expensive camera doesn't even have an LCD viewfinder. Evidently that's on purpose, not some weird oversight. The lack of an LCD screen is meant to simulate the way you'd use the original Leica M3 or any film camera, where reviewing images right after you shot them was the stuff of fantasy. It's an homage, see? And in a way, it makes this limited edition digital rangefinder the perfect camera for terrible photographers. No one will be able to see your photos right after you shoot them, including yourself. Given how hard it can be to focus a rangefinder camera through its optical peephole, that might be for the best. And what you lose in photo reviewing capabilities, you gain back in spades with the camera's build materials. The stainless steel body is wrapped in textured anthracite-colored leather. Smack dab where the LCD screen would normally be on the back, there is an ISO adjustment wheel instead. Those settings reach up to ISO 6400, and the M Edition 60 captures RAW files in DNG format at up to 3 frames per second. Okay, I know what you're thinking. This thing looks like a must-buy, but its silver body will clash with that black Noculix M50mm f0.95 lens stashed in your closet. Hey, no worries. There's now a silver version of that same Kubrickian apertured aspherical lens available for pre-order, and it'll only set you back around $12,000. So if you've been looking for the ultimate $30,000 rangefinder camera package, your long search is now over. Both high-end pieces of hardware will be available at the end of October, but B&H Photos' website has them listed for pre-order at the moment, and they're downright cheap compared to the European list prices for each piece. The M Edition 60 is priced at just $18,500 with its 35mm f1.4 lens kit, while the Noculix M50mm f0.95 sits on the shelf awaiting your mere $11,350. Are these people insane or what?
I mean, if you're trying to think, do I want a new do I want a new car paid in full in cash, or do I want a camera? And you're waffling?
Yeah.
This might be your answer.
I'm waffling.
Burn your money, get the camera, and it's not a bad-looking camera. It's I don't know if it's $30,000 good, but it's something.
Yeah.
Okay, like, I'll be completely honest with you. When they said that they had a limited edition running of it, like they are only selling 600 of them,
Yeah.
I thought 600 was a little high for their hopes.
No, I think. Hey, you're listening to the Computer America Show on the Boost Radio Network, on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network. Ben and I are doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. Coming up, another brand spanking new News Tips Bulletin review from Marty Winston. We'll see how he says hello. This is Computer America. We'll be right back.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 120,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy and major car companies filing for bankruptcy, Cover America Auto Care has announced revolutionary, inexpensive mechanical breakdown coverage that is now available to the general public to save consumers thousands on auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for drivers to call who own a vehicle that is less than 10 years old for a free 5-minute quote and to see if you qualify. The number is 800-483-2514. Drivers who are covered with this auto protection will not have to pay for a covered repair again. This is the auto coverage now sweeping across America at a fraction of what dealerships charge and is now available to the public by calling today. The number to call is 800-483-2514. 800-483-2514. That's 800-483-2514.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-866-663-MyTV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MyTV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV.
Salutations, it's Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the iRobot Luge. They spell it L-O-O-J. It's not an Olympic event. We didn't want all of our robot reviewables to be underfoot, so we asked iRobot to send Luge their gutter cleaning robot. It has a long, thin, fairly rectangular body with rubber tracks on both sides, so it rides in a gutter like a skinny tank in a trench. The front end has the muck attack parts, brushes, rubber paddles, and a scraper plow. You use its removable handles built-in remote control to send the gutter gunk left or right, up the roof or out away from the house. Auto mode takes it forward, backs it up a bit, then forward again, or you and the remote can send it fore or aft and stop the auger or spin it left and right. Our hodgepodge house has many short gutter runs, many higher than our old ladder can reach. So no new ladder or hire somebody, you've got those choices. Luge effectively extended our reach the length of the sections of gutters we could reach, meaning far fewer ladder moves. It got stuck twice. Once because of debris, we used a broom to drag it back and clear the fault condition, and once on a return because we weren't spinning the auger. User error, quickly corrected. Bottom line, when it comes to the gutter, the iRobot Luge is an utter pleasure to use. This is Marty Winston with a News Tips Bullet Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 33 minutes past the hour, and I've actually seen the particular product that he's talking about this time.
Really?
Yeah, it's he's right with the tank treads and the auger and the thing, and I mean, for such a manual job, it is just one of the best ways to do it. It's such a simple thing. Again, he mentioned it only works on straight, on straightaways. Like it's not going to take like a turn or a curve or anything like that. And it definitely won't, like go down a downspout or something like that. But I mean, it's just a little tread auger, just flip leaves out as it goes along. It's actually kind of cute.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm glad he liked it because it looked like a good product.
Yeah. What's wrong with your camera?
I don't know. I turned off the camera and now I can't turn it back on. So.
No, they shouldn't turn it off, I guess. Okay.
So, I'm sure we'll get it fixed. Probably not tonight, but by tomorrow for sure. But yeah, no, we're doing computer and technology news, and we have some good news for everyone who's building a computer or is going to need a replacement part in the coming months. And this is from Paul Lilly, Maxim PC, and that is that Asus, as Craig calls it, and Gigabyte may lower motherboard prices to reach shipment goals.
Wow.
Good news.
Uh-huh. All right.
So watch for lower price motherboards in quarter 4. We've already mentioned that Asus and Gigabyte may engage each other in a price of war, of sorts, as each one attempts to ship more motherboards than the other. However, weaker than expected demand in China, combined with soft retail channels orders ahead of the country's National Day holidays, are likely to cause both companies to fall short of their shipment goals. And as a result, Asus and Gigabyte may be even more aggressive with motherboard price cuts than previously anticipated. So this comes from Digitimes, and they're both expected to ship around 5.6 million motherboards in the third quarter. That figure is below what each company was expecting, as the two firms hope that the Intel new Haswell E processor launch and the 9 series chipsets would spark a replacement trend among consumers. Even with Haswell E on the table, motherboard sales are falling a bit short. In order for Asus and Gigabyte to reach their stated 20 to 22 million motherboard shipment goal by the end of the year, the companies will need a strong fourth quarter. So Digitimes source tells Digitimes that the price competition among the two is expected to grow even fiercer. That was in quotes. So if you're waiting, you have that new processor and you're waiting for a motherboard, might want to wait a little bit longer if you can, closer towards the holidays when they're really pushing these products.
Yeah.
And you might just snag yourself a good deal as these two try to outcompete. And of course, when two companies compete that hard, the consumer is the winner with lower prices.
Yeah. Of course, a lot of consumers, today don't get into the motherboard level. They just want to buy everything all done and ready. But for those... these companies were obviously, they're obviously targeting that market that is, because they were saying that with the new processor, you would need a new motherboard to take advantage of some of those, little upgrades that Intel provided. Yeah.
So and it's not just on a consumer level, but it's also on a like say Origin PC or Digital Storm or what have you. These companies that are that make computers for consumers, they're also ordering these these motherboards in bulk.
Mm-hmm. So okay, well if you can hold out, just before the holidays, you might get yourself a real good bargain with something like this. Okay. Again, from Maximum PC, Razer, they announced an open beta for Razer Synapse. This allows you to track your mouse clicks and key presses. According to this article, Razer has been rather busy with adding a new feature to Chroma and more recently releasing Razer Cortex to help players find the best video game deals. And if that weren't enough, Razer has announced an open beta for Razer Synapse Stats and Heat Maps. Stats and Heat Maps is a new software feature for Razer Synapse, the company's cloud-based settings network, which will allow users to collect and share their mouse clicks, keyboard presses, and more. The information collected can then be shown as raw data or as an overlay over a default or custom in-game screenshot that will show your mouse movements and clicks. Those wishing to share their statistics with other gamers will be able to share it on Facebook and Twitter. This is a fun and unique way that we can add value to our industry-leading products after purchase, according to the CEO of Razer. We're able to visually show gamers, empirically, how they interact with their favorite games. This information can help with anything from improving hotkey and mini-map usage to mouse mat selection and mouse DPI settings, in addition to the multitude of uses it could have for developers when they design game interfaces. Unfortunately, it's next to impossible to ensure compatibility with the thousands of games out there, so we're counting on our millions of software users to help us test and expand game compatibility. Razer plans to add the ability for users to record actions per minute at a later date through stats and heat maps. Would you find this useful?
We've been over this before with Grayson Hamilton, and we actually sent you that clip. That if anyone else is curious, just kind of look up a South Korean gamer, just South Korean gamer, and actions per minute, the APM, and we actually sent you a video of a South Korean gamer actually just going all out, on his keyboard and his mouse, and they perform upwards of 300-400 actions per minute. And an action can be anything from a keystroke to a mouse click to to anything of that nature. So they're doing 300 to 400 actions per minute. That's a lot to keep track of, and so something like this with the Razer Synapse, it's it can help.
Yeah.
It can help those higher end gamers, and maybe even the gamers who aren't at the competitive level, but they just want to see, where are they focusing on, where are they not, where are they ignoring, what's going on, and just little tools. I mean, if the joggers can get apps to measure their heartbeat and it tells them how far they went and how fast they go, and if they're stepping on their feet too hard, and if they're not jogging the right way, why can't gamers get little apps like this too?
Yeah, I guess. It makes
so,
sense.
Yeah, just Razer looking out for the game, for the gamers out there. All right, next story. This one is about AT&T and how they're, I guess, trying to go after a segment of the market that honestly wants nothing to do with them. And this is from TechHive, and AT&T Shanghai's, good word, not used enough, cord cutters with $40 deal that has plenty of strings attached. So as more so-called cord cutters turn their backs on TV services, providers like AT&T Uverse are doing everything in their power to lure them back. Even bundling services like HBO Go and Amazon Prime. Yes, for $40 per month, AT&T will give you Uverse broadband, basic cable, a year's worth of HBO Go on-demand movies, and even a year's worth of Amazon Prime, with all the Amazon on-demand movies, Kindle lending, and free 2-day shipping that entails. All AT&T is asking from you is to please, please, please be a customer, and to pay a little more when a year's out, and to be locked into a year's contract with an early termination fee of up to $180, and bunches of other little charges that AT&T hopes you won't think about until you're on the phone with a helpful salesperson. I'm sure that was sarcasm. Like what, you ask? For one thing, the offer isn't available in all areas. And when the author checked the bundle options for their home in San Francisco, the Amazon Prime offer never appeared, although the promotional page mentions it prominently.
Yeah.
As for the possible additional fees, the author extracts them from AT&T's fine print. They are, in no particular order, $50 service activation fee, up to $100 in equipment installation fees, broadcast surcharge of up to $3 per month, $15 more per month for whole home DVR, $10 more per month for high definition, and assorted taxes and other regulatory fees.
Ooh.
I know there's a lot of fees in there for being a low cost option. So, and remember, when the year's up, AT&T can go back to charging you $26 per month for HBO services and $19 per month for basic cable, plus an additional $22 per month for broadband internet. In other words, $67 per month plus the original $40 per month equals $107 per month. Not bad, but not the cord-cutting nirvana that you might have thought. Of course, at this point, there's nothing preventing you from walking away to another provider, signing up for some other similar deal, or simply try to negotiate with Comcast or with AT&T itself.
Good luck with that.
So, I know. So what the deal does seem to imply is that AT&T hopes you'll sign up, auto-pay your bill, and then gently slip into a movie and pizza-fueled coma where you won't notice more money being siphoned from your digital wallet in a year's time. Because by then, True Detective Season 2 will be out, and seriously, why would you ever want to let that go? And in their defense, I have heard good things about True Detectives.
Yeah, exactly. But this article was filled with sarcasm.
I know, but it was sarcasm because AT&T is trying to lure back cord cutters, and cord cutters are fed up with the hidden fees. They're fed up with the outrageous fees just for content that they don't really want and or need. They're fed up with contracts. They're fed up with pretty much everything that this supposedly targeted at cord cutters service plan.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in it is just against what cord cutters are all about.
Yeah.
So it seems of course the article was filled with sarcasm. It's because it was kind of ridiculous for them to take the antithesis and shove it in their face like it's a deal.
Yeah. Well, they do that. A lot of these companies do that. They make, we got a great deal for you, but if you read the fine print, boy, you're paying, if not the same or even more.
Oh yeah, no, there's always some kind of fee, and even like it still boggles my mind that people have to pay more for HD.
Yeah, that's right. But they do.
Just about every plan does.
Yeah, DirecTV, you have to pay extra for high definition.
I mean, good luck going out there and buying a television that isn't HD. I mean, you would really have to go down into like the $100 range to get a TV that isn't HD.
You can view non-HD on your HD TV.
You can view non-HD, but I mean, if the technology's there and the only thing preventing you is just them flipping a switch.
That's right. That's all it is. That's all it is.
And I know it's more data and they have to handle it and that kind of thing, but let's be honest here. If they can supply it, they can supply it. It's data. It's not water. It's not bricks. It's not stones. Yep. It's just data.
Yep, it is. It's unsettling not being able to see you for some reason. I don't know what's going on.
I'm here, I promise. I'm here.
What happened to your camera?
I don't know. I turned it off and I tried turning it back on. It won't turn back on.
All right. Well, okay. You've seen the Oculus Rift, right? You know what it looks like.
I have heard stories. I have heard tale.
You've seen pictures of it and everything. Okay, and it's sort of like, it's just this box that you're looking into. Well, now try and imagine doing something similar, but doing it with your iPad. According to CNET, strapping an iPad to your face with a virtual reality gadget for iOS evidently is in the works, in the pipeline. They're calling it Air VR, and they want to make your virtual reality accessible to iOS device owners by mounting iPhones and iPads right in front of your eyes, literally strapping your device to the front of your face. And according to them, it's not that much weirder looking than an Oculus Rift. I guess it isn't. Did you see the picture of this guy with his iPad?
He looks completely at home with, I kid you not, an iPad strapped to his face 2 inches away.
Well, the story goes on to say, raise your hand if you already have an Oculus Rift. Not many of you, huh? Okay, well, raise your hand if you already have an iPad mini or have ordered an iPhone 6 Plus with a Retina display. Oh, there's a lot of you out there. You say I can count them. Well, evidently the creators of the Air VR project on Kickstarter did the math and decided the quickest way to get virtual reality headset technology to the masses would be through adapting existing iOS devices. Air VR is a head-mounted display that works for the iPad mini or the iPhone 6 Plus. The prototype looks much like a weird set of goggles with straps that go over your head. The iPad or iPhone slips into a mount on the front of you, and you look through the two lenses at the screen. It works in conjunction with apps that have been optimized to display in two parts so that each eye gets a separate image feed. An extra strip of screen real estate is turned into a touch interface for controlling your Air VR experience. Functions include calibration settings that make it possible to quickly adapt the headset for different users. Air VR's creators plan to bundle the gadget with photo, movie, and panoramic image apps. An Air VR headset costs about $45, which may be the product's strongest selling point, though it's not as cheap as Google's Cardboard VR creation. If it gets made, it could be a relatively inexpensive introduction to VR for the iOS crowd. The future success of Air VR depends not only on raising funds through Kickstarter, but also on iOS developers embracing the platform and updating apps and games to work with it. That's a tall order, but not completely impossible. With 20 days left to go on the project, Air VR has attracted about $5,500 toward an approximately $18,250 goal. On one hand, it would be pretty sweet to play a game like Dark Meadow using your iPad as a headset with a separate game controller for navigating the action. On the other hand, strapping a whole iPad, even if it is just the mini version, onto your face looks kind of weird, and it seems to hang down a bit in front of your mouth. Hey, have you seen the Oculus VR? It doesn't look that much more strange. If you're okay with the oddity of the situation, it could be a fun new way to interface with your iPad. Otherwise, you might want to wait for the Oculus Rift or Google's Cardboard to go mainstream. That looks pretty cool, And I mean, the Oculus Rift already makes you look like a dork. So this really doesn't. If anything,
I have, lately I've been seeing these YouTube videos where people are wearing the Oculus Rift, and they'll. And of course the games are coming out for the Oculus Rift. They look like something from a bad computer program from 1995, but I guess because it's in first person and is virtual reality, to you it's much more real. Mm-hmm. And I actually saw a video. This guy was Russian, and a gentleman was wearing it, and I believe he was like overlooking a building, like he was on top of the building, and he was looking over the edge, and he went up behind him while he was still wearing the headset, and he grabbed his shoulders and pulled him backwards real quick, and he freaked out for like a full minute because he thought he had just fallen in real life.
Wow.
It is hilarious. But I mean, it just goes to show you that virtual reality, even though it looks cartoony, it looks stupid, it looks dorky from another perspective, virtual reality, it has a much stronger effect on the person wearing it. So it's not what you look like when you wear it, it's how you feel when you're using it. And from what I heard, it's it's a strange and very good feeling.
Yeah. Well, there it is. We have time maybe for a couple more stories. Would you like to do one about the PlayStation TV launching next month?
Yeah, sure. I was going to pick another one out, but actually I can't find the one that you're actually talking about.
Ars Technica?
Oh, here we go. PSA PlayStation TV launching October 14th in the US for $99. So, Sony's latest gaming hardware product, the PlayStation TV, received a release date announcement on Monday, today, months after its official E3 unveiling this summer. Starting October 14th, mark your calendars, fans of in the US will be able to buy the hardware by itself for $99 or purchase a quote-unquote bundle that includes a DualShock 3 controller, an 8 gig memory card, and a free copy of the Lego Movie video game for $40. The play.
$40 more. Do you think that's worth it?
Yeah, $40 more. Oh yeah, totally. I mean, a controller by itself is about $30, and the memory card isn't that much more. It's like another $6.
Yeah.
But essentially you get like a free video game.
Yeah.
So the PlayStation TV, which launched in Japan nearly 1 year ago as the Vita TV, essentially doubles as a Vita system that plugs into your HD TV. And just like the Vita, the system can play both physical and downloaded Vita games. It also serves as a PlayStation 4 streaming device via the Remote Play feature. And it supports the PlayStation Now streaming service, which serves PlayStation 3 games to your hardware by way of the cloud. So one of the PlayStation TV's limitations is the lack of touch, microphone, and motion control for Vita games. Since neither the DualShock 3 nor DualShock 4 perfectly emulates Vita's features, meaning Vita exclusive standouts like Tearaway are essentially unplayable. And while the Vita games are upscaled to 720p resolution on the PlayStation TV, so are Vita video apps like Netflix and Hulu Plus. This limits them compared to the 1080p set-top competition. Even with those issues, we're hard-pressed to think of a set-top box that currently sports a gaming marketplace quite like the PlayStation Network, especially with its Vita-specific push for indie games. So they have an update here. We originally reported that the PlayStation 4 will require a DualShock 3 controller. As it turns out, Sony announced that the DualShock 4 will work on the new hardware as well. So, PlayStation TV sounds like it's going to be a competitor to the Roku and the Apple TV and things like that. But you're going to be able to stream your Hulu and your Netflix through it, and you're going to be able to use it as a storage device and streaming device. This would be great if you have a Vita, if you have a PlayStation 3, if you have a PlayStation 4, if you're already sold into the Sony, ecosystem. This is just another great logical system that you will probably be buying.
Well, there you go. Okay. We do have time for one more quick story here.
All right, you got one?
Yeah, Apple plans to shut down Beats Music.
No!
They're going to discontinue the streaming music service it acquired in May, according to 5 sources, including several prominent employees at Apple and Beats. Many engineers from Beats Music have already moved off the product and onto other projects as Apple, including iTunes. It's not clear when exactly Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre's music service will be shut down or what Apple will do with streaming, but every source with knowledge of the situation that we talked to agreed Apple's plans to sunset the Beats Music brand. What's up with that? They were just the big thing, and now they're shutting it down? Apple has told TechCrunch that the report of Beats being shut down is not true, but sources familiar with the situation tell Recode that Apple may, however, modify Beats Music over time, and one of those changes could involve changing the Beats Music brand. This aligns with what the author's sources said, which is that Beats Music brand will be shut down, but that it's unclear what Apple wants to do in streaming music. It seems quite possible that the Beats Music project could be rolled into iTunes rather than being shuttered, but that's semantics. Okay? So basically, it looks like the story that...
I think Apple just really wanted that market.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they got it, and now they're going to be rolling it in, either with iTunes or, just kind of integrating itself in together.
Yeah.
But, I mean, to say it's taken down, it's... Like I said, it's not quite true. It's just being rolled into iTunes in general.
Yeah. Which I think actually makes sense, Well,
yeah. Why would you need 2 music services?
Exactly. I mean, iTunes already has streaming services available. They have the radio. They have all this stuff. So,
90 seconds.
I think it makes better sense to integrate them all. Hey, listen, that about wraps up the Computer America show here tonight. Thanks so much for being with us here tonight. Tomorrow night, what are we doing? Oh, we've got it's going to be Tuesday, and we have.
It's going to be Tuesday? See,
yes.
I didn't see that one coming.
Tom Keenan is going to be. Tom Keenan wrote this book called Technocrete.
60 seconds.
So we'll be talking to him. He's an Irish professor at the University of Calgary and author of the book Technocrete. And then if we have time in hour 2, we're going to have Olin's Technology. They have some really a lot of cool technological products, including the Rennie Home Ringer that allows you to access your Bluetooth phone from anywhere in your home. It's a really cool little product, and they're going to be with us here for hour 2. Hopefully we'll have that scheduled. So that wraps it up. Again, thanks to Mike Riley, our first hour guest, talking about home automation in his new book, and hopefully he'll be back with us at another time as well. So until tomorrow night, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow night.
10 seconds.
Good night, everyone.
Turn your camera on.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Something weird is happening. Like, my lower third hasn't been turned on for about a week, and, you know, the whole background thing isn't working anymore where it used to work, and now my webcam just won't turn on. I think something's wrong with the Google Hangouts plugin.
Yeah, because remember, and what's his name? Although when he came in, Mike Riley, I created a new Hangouts. I figured something was wrong, so I created a new Hangouts. He went in, and you know, I updated on the website and everything, so he could do it. And then when he was in, he said, "Okay, I'm in." And then when I would try to get in, it said, "Sorry, you couldn't get it. It wouldn't let him and me in at the same time." Very, very bizarre. Hopefully, it will clear up tomorrow, and if not, you know, we'll I guess we'll work on it then. But okay, we're going to shut down the Hangouts. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow night here on Computer America. Good night.
Night.